Imagine you've just finalized your company's yearly strategy. You walk into the boardroom, and your department heads are already waiting. Everyone has a pitch. Sales wants to open 3 new territories. Operations is demanding a warehouse overhaul. IT needs to migrate the entire server architecture. They all insist their projects are urgent, but the total cost is triple your annual budget. Every business eventually hits a rigid mathematical wall. Your capital is finite, your timeline is tight, and your top talent only has so many working hours in a single day. You can draw up the most elegant strategy map in the world, but if your leadership team doesn't aggressively curate exactly where that limited capital is deployed, those plans are just ink on paper. When faced with this pressure, many executives fall into a management trap known as the peanut butter approach. They look at all the competing demands, and wanting to keep everyone happy, they fractionally fund every requested project to be fair. Because the cash and the talent are spread thin, no single project ever reaches the critical mass required to cross the finish line. Initiatives drag on for months, deadlines slip, and the capital slowly evaporates. Fairness in resource allocation leads directly to organizational failure. True leadership requires the counterintuitive courage to starve 90. If the CEO spreads that 15 million across all 32 million bought worth of requests, the projects will stall. The company ends up with a half-built warehouse, understaffed branches, and a software rollout that fails to launch. To survive, leadership has to strip emotion out of the room. They need a strict mathematical filter to separate the initiatives that will save the company from the ones that will drain it. That filter is the impact effort matrix. This chart plots a project's expected returns on the y-axis against the time and money required to pull it off on the x-axis. Automating a warehouse requires high capital and years of construction. However, this company's specific problem was missing inventory data. A new building won't help staff find parts that aren't logged in the first place, making this a time waster for now. A branch expansion has high potential impact, but adding new locations while the central operational system is broken just multiplies the chaos. It's a major project, but it has to wait for a better foundation. The 2 million bought ERP software directly stops the bleeding of duplicate stock and organizes data at a fraction of the cost. It falls firmly into the low-effort, high-impact quadrant, a quick win. The CEO made a decisive intervention. They froze the warehouse and expansion plans. Instead, they took their 15 million bought and their best personnel and funneled them exclusively into the ERP system. 6 months later, the stock bloatedness dropped by 30%. Cash flow returned to the business, and they finally had the data foundation required to safely open those new branches. Concentrating capital onto a single high-leverage target yields exponentially higher returns than hedging bets across multiple good ideas. To prevent a relapse into resource starvation, leaders need a strict pre-approval filter for every future budget request. Does this pitch align with core strategy? Do we have the bandwidth to execute? Money can't buy a 25th hour. For surviving ideas, apply final constraints: a contingency buffer, a kill switch, and one accountable owner. This rigorous checklist removes the reliance on gut feelings or executive guilt, replacing them with an objective defense against capital bleed. Executing this kind of discipline is a heavy psychological burden. It means sitting across from a dedicated manager, looking at their well-researched idea, and giving them zero funding. Steve Jobs defined focus as the gold standard for this type of executive decision-making. He pointed out that focus requires looking at 100 other incredibly good ideas and having the fortitude to say no to them anyway. Once the boardroom conflict is settled and the budget is locked, the next challenge begins: aligning a fragmented workforce to actually execute the mission. Resource allocation measures a leader's courage. To reach peak performance, you must